All right, so we're going to be learning about animation. So we're going to be learning how to animate inside OpenToonz. So we have been working with levels and different parts of this software. So, but today we're going to be specifically learning about how to animate things. So if you remember vividly, we have different things we can be able to do, like the levels, different levels that we can be able to create in a particular column. So for this class, we're going to use a vector level. It's going to be easier for us to work. So I'm going to just click OK and apply that, and now we have this. So what is animation? So animation is basically the art of creating an illusion of movement. That is what animation really is. So for example, if you actually show series of pictures to a particular person, let's say a particular person is standing, all right, and you show that particular person in 10 different positions, all right, and you play it and show it to the person within 1 second, it will actually look like the person is actually moving. That is what animation is really about. So you are using pictures, showing it to people very fast so that it looks like you are moving. So but it's all moments captured. So now there are two major ways or two techniques of animating things, especially inside OpenToonz. So we'll have the first one, the frame by frame, where you actually draw your frame. Okay, it's more like what we call the traditional method of animation, where if you actually watch movies like Tom and Jerry, Mickey Mouse, these animations were drawn by hand by people, and they actually had to draw it in special kind of papers, you understand, and they brought everything, scanned it together, and then they had to bring all the pictures and then play it together. So there is a rigorous process, but now using software like OpenToonz, we can actually do everything digitally. So if you want to be able to go super deep into the traditional method of animation or frame by frame drawing, you will have to, the best thing you can do is to get your tablets, or your drawing pad. That's the best thing you can do. But if you're using your mouse, you can still do some things. But if you're doing something very complex and detailed, you will need a drawing pad. So the second type of animation is what we call the twinning. You understand? The name is actually twinning. That's what we call it. But you could also call it more of keyframe animation, whereby you the software itself does the job for you. So you can draw something and then you tell it, okay, by this frame you are here, but by other frame you are going to be somewhere else. So you could actually call it frame by frame and twinning. All right. So those are the two major styles of animation that you type techniques of animation you can be able to use. So let's start with the first one, the one that we're going to be drawing manually from one frame to another. So now this is your timeline. That's what we'll call it, your timeline. Now you can go to your animation here to do some things, but I don't like using the animation here. It's quite not so cool. One of the things I like doing is if you click on this button, you actually have it appear like this. So that's the button you can be able to use to turn it into something like this. Now, why I like this, for those that have been following my lessons in 3D animation, if you're looking at Blender, you see that much of the things that we do in animation is actually on something like this. So most animation softwares, even After Effects, all of them have their animation this way. It's easier to read it this way than to read it vertically. So the reason why they made it vertically is because sometimes you might want to see all your columns in a vertical form if you have a region to do that. So, but here is very good for us to work in a horizontal fashion. So now, if you come down here, you see that you have things like add memo, but don't worry about that. That's not the important part. So here we'll have a frame. So if you click on the frame, it means that you're going to be seeing everything in frame. So let's say we'll have frame one. Let me scroll forward and you actually see more. Let me try to expand this. You see, you can use this to expand. If you bring it down, it's giving you less details. But if you increase, you can actually see each of the frames. So you can actually see what is in this frame. You go over here and you actually see different frames. So now we'll have this. So we'll have the first column and is a vector. Now over here, I think we have already talked about some of all these things here. The most important thing you want to pay attention to for now is this guy over here. We'll have for visibility, you can be able to make certain things invisible at a particular time. This one will make it invisible to the camera, but this one will make it invisible to even when you render it. So preview, you can't preview it, but here it's more like the camera, this camera will not be able to see it as you're actually walking. So over here we'll have locking. So when you lock a particular layer in your animation, that means that you don't want to be able to, maybe you don't want to be able to select it. Now the most important tool for animation is this guy over here. So that's the Animate tool, and that is the most important thing we're going to be doing. Now let's go into the first style of animation. So we're going to animate a ball bouncing, and we're actually going to use the frame drawing. Okay, frame by frame drawing. That's what we're going to do. So in this particular place now, I can just come in here and get my geometric tool, and I have my circle. Now I want to be able to fill it with a color, so I'm going to click on auto fill. Now what color do I want it? So I'm going to select here, and let's try bringing this down a bit. I think we're going to have to drag this from here, drag it down, and this one just bring it down a bit. So if you change this, you actually see you have a different color. So let's say, for example, I'm going for let's say a dark blue color. Now once I want to draw, make sure you're selecting your color and you have your autofill on, and I'm going to just draw a simple circle, and you have something like this. Now I'm going to just click here, and you actually see you can select this and adjust it to however you want. I want it to be in the center here because the center of origin is already here. Now if I move to the next frame, look at this. If you click here, you actually see in fact you can be able to drag this from this top part. So there are two levels. There is one level, there is two level here. If you click here, you can just be jumping. All right, now if you drag this from here, you can be able to move the entire thing. All right, now one of the most important thing you have to bear in mind is this object here. I won't know, I think the name is the current frame. It's just like a widget that tells you the current frame that you're in. If you expand this like this, it means that when you're playing animation, it will know that the animation is starting from here to here. So in a case where you're playing animation and you realize the animation is not moving, maybe you have an animation that stops at 19 and it's not moving to that 19, just go check out this guy here, because probably maybe mistakenly you dragged it and is enveloping maybe frame from frame 1 to frame 5, and you're trying to play animation to the end. So those are the things you have to bear in mind. So now but if you want to now scrub your animation, what we'll call it scrubbing. So you can be able to click at the top here, click, hold, and drag, and you can be able to scrub it to show you all your animations. Now if you notice, if you actually click here now, you see that you don't see any other thing because that animation is no more there. So let's see, for example, let's try and see if we can be able to copy it. So if we select this and try copying to the next place, so let's do this way. Click here, and then we'll try to paste. It gives us that same thing. All right, now let's say, for example, we want to bring it down to somewhere here. If you look at what is happening now, so if you go back, you see you have this frame over there and then this one here. Now if we go to the next place, you see you have another one, so you can be able to paste again, and then you can be able to bring it down. Now there is something that is very important here. It's called the onion skin. So onion skin is like trying to tell you different layers of animation, either backwards or forwards. So if you're animating something, you want to know where this guy is coming from. All right, is it coming from the top to the bottom or from the bottom to the top? So let me give an example now. Watch this. Let me go back here. So if I come in here, I'm going to select this. If you notice, I'm not using this Animate tool because I'm not actually doing the twinning part. Now what I'm actually doing is the frame by frame drawing. So let's say, for example, I want this animation to start from here. Now let me go to the next one and then select this one and move it to somewhere here. So I want this thing to bounce this way and then bounce this way and then stop here. That's what I want you to do. So this will stop here, and then this one I'll select it and bring it back here. So I have this here now. If you look at what is happening now, let me just keep going. I'm going to do another one. Let me you see it's showing me the last frame, So I'll select this one too and bring it down to here. Now there is what we call the principles of animation, okay, and that is what we call squash and stretch, okay. So it's just more like how to make your animation more realistic, but I'm going to leave off that. We're just trying to learn the basics of animation here, so I'm going to leave off all the principles of animation for now so that we can be able to attend to that when we do more advanced stuff. So if you look at here now, it goes this way. So the more the frames, the more smoother the animation is. Imagine if I drew one here and then the next place I'm drawing here, you see that it will look like it's just jumping from here to here and it's not going to look good. So the more frames you actually put in between them, all right, the more frames you draw in between to tell someone how does this really go from here to here and then up here. So those are the things you want someone to know. Now, if you look at here, I want to draw up to 6 frames before I show you this particular feature. So let me go to frame 5, Ctrl V and paste it. So I want it to actually come up to somewhere here. Let's say somewhere here. And then now I want to be able to see all my frames. Now if you look at here now, if I click on this, let's say for example I click here and drag and drag. Now let me do it again. You can click and clean it off. If I click here now and drag to this place and drag to this place and drag, see I'm not clicking on this red and green thing here, okay? That's the more like we'll call it the head of the playhead of the animation. So if you just click on a blank place, you see that I'm cleaning it off now, but if you click on it again, you can be able to actually create the onion skin of all your past and future movements, okay? So look, I'm in the center at the 3rd frame and I have it's showing me what this is going to be. So the red one is the past, while the green one is the future, or the frames in the front. So if I come in here, I can be able to go. You see, if I'm going now, you see that it's showing me everything in the forward part. So let me go to this one and drop another one. So let's say for example I'm going to drop it to somewhere here, and down here I'm going to drop another one somewhere there. So because animation, when you're animating, you want it to bounce, and it's going to be relaxing because you're trying to obey some level of physics. So I have this, do another one. So I think I want it to go off like this. And lastly, Ctrl V, I want it to just go off like that. And this one is already off, so don't worry about it. In fact, let me just go and that one is not even necessary. This one is not even necessary, so I'm just going to just drop it outside. So now if you go back, let's clean off these guys. Let's clean them off. Click and drag them. So if I come in here now and play, watch, if you play, nothing will happen. So you might come into this experience where you play and nothing is happening. It's because your current frame is over here. This usually happens when you do frame by frame drawing of your animation. So I can drag this to this place, and once I play, can you see now it's going very, very fast. So, and the reason why it's going very, very fast is because my frame of my animation is actually 24 frames per second. So because I told you it's 24 frames per second, it's trying to show me 10 frames in less than 1 second. Now imagine if I did something like this. If I said 4 frames per second. Now see what happens. Let me press enter key to make sure it's affected. Can you see now? It's slower now. Let me loop it so you actually view what's happening. So it's slower. So if you really want your animation to be a bit smoother and you're doing 24 frames per second, that means that you literally have to draw a lot of things. So that's why I told you that if you want to go for frame by frame drawing, where you are trying to do some animations, there are a lot of people that do this kind of animations where they draw everything frame by frame. And I say that it's good you learn how to draw properly and you get a tablet. Imagine if I was trying to draw a human being each by each, in each one, okay? You can still do it maybe by copying and pasting and then tweaking and changing it. You could do that, but it will still take you some time. But if you use the second technique, it's a bit easier. Not that it's the easiest, but it's a bit easier. It all depends on what you're going for. So this is for the normal um, frame by frame drawing. So that's what it looks like. Just a very simple animation. So if you actually make it, but if you look at here, because the frames are very tiny, they are very small. If you look at the animation when it's playing, it's bouncy, it's jumpy. It's as if it's just jumping and very slow. But if you actually increase the number of drawings, then it will actually, get more things into it. Now let's go into the second style of animation. I'm going to create a new scene now. And I'm going to save all my scenes. So this new scene now that I have, so in case you double click over here and you have something like this, if you want to go back, just double click at the edge here and you go back to this place. So now I want to do the same animation but with a different thing now. So with a different technique, the twinning technique now. So if I click here, I can be able to draw that same circle. So I have the same thing. Now let's go get, let's create our level. I'm going to use a vector level again. So once in my vector level, in this place, I'm going to change this guy to, let's say dark blue too. And now I'm going to make sure that my autofill is on and I'm going to draw. So I have this here now. So if you are using this technique, it's necessary that you center everything you do. Either you center it from your drawing or you go and center it from your Animate tool. So those are the two ways you can do it. So right now I've centered this in my drawing, so I'm actually approximately making it to be in the center of this entire drawing. But when I'm done, what I have to do now is I want to animate right now. So I want this to move from here and then go from here to, down. Remember, our keyframe is actually we turned it to 3 frames per second. So I'm going to change it back to 24 frames per second. Remember I told you 24 frames means that 24 of these pictures will be shown to the person in 1 second. That is all the illusion of animation. That's how we create it. Now I'm going to just come in here and enter into my Animate tool, and you see here I have my position. These are different properties I can be able to animate. So once I do that, you see I have other things. If I have other levels or columns, I can be able to actually select them from here. So now I'm going to, if you look at here now, you see that the center is already in the center because I brought it manually into the center. So, but you know that some drawings that you're going to do, they might not be like if you are drawing a human body, you can't bring everything to the center. Some parts will be at the bottom, the head will be on top. So all those things will be different. So you have to use this tool here to position them very well. So now I want to animate. So I'm going to go to my position. Now I will tell this guy, in this first frame that you're in, we need you to be somewhere here. All right, so now let's go into the main thing. Now, if you don't like the way your scene is appearing, you can always go over here and just tell it you want a camera view, because sometimes this could be confused. But the reason why this is good is because even if you draw other things, you can draw. In fact, you can be able to use this software to do like all this huge whiteboard animation where you draw different things in different parts of a screen and you have your camera moving from one spot to another. You can actually animate the camera. That's a different topic on its own. Now, if I come in here, if you look at what is happening here, we'll have a keyframe already created here. So this keyframe is now here telling you that this particular object is here at this particular time. So now I will now say, okay, I want this guy to, I want this animation to last for, let's say, let's assume 5 seconds. Now, if I say 5 seconds, it means 24 times 5. If I say 3 seconds, it means 24 times 3. All right. If I say this animation is going to be running for 25 frames. Now, someone might ask me, why should I make it 24 frames or 30 frames per second? Now, the answer is simple. The more the frames, the smoother the animation will be. If you notice when we did the 8 frame pictures that we created in the last one, and we made it 3 frames per second, you see how it was jumping. If we had over, let's say for that the same movement, we had over 100 pictures. Even if we play slowly, you see that the motion will be very, very smooth. It will just look like it's moving in slow motion. But this one that we did looks as if it's just jumping. You get the point. So that's the key thing here. So if I come in here, the thing I want to do is this has been animated. All right, this is the button. If you don't want something to be animated, if you want to remove the animation, you can click and you actually remove the animation. All right, and you see that it came back to where it was before. So but if you want it back, once you just put it there, automatically it knows that you want to animate it. Except you don't want it, you can remove it from here. So now I'm going to now expand. So you have to extend the frame. So if you click on this frame, all right, even if you have multiple layers of objects, you can be able to select all of them and make them expand. So we're going to come to that later. So let's do this one by one. So this object, this particular thing here, okay, is how we're able to increase our cells. So these are different cells or frames. So I'm going to click here and drag it, and now it's extended. So let's say, for example, we're doing 25 frames. So that means if you're doing 3 seconds, we're going to have 70 frames of animation. That's what we're going to use. So look at here, I can drag this back. If you mistakenly do more than you need, just come back here, click and drag it back. Now, one of the things I love about this technique is that automatically you see that this comes over here, telling you that you now have, this is your current frame from here to here. But if you're using the other technique, you will need to manually click and drag this current frame to be able to expand it, to tell the software, this is the place I want you to start and this is where I want you to stop. Now let me just go back here. So you see, if I start moving this, you see it's trying to actually put some things for me here. So what I'll do, I'm going to just hold down my middle mouse button and pan, or you can use this tool to drag it back. So I'm here now. So I will now say, okay, I'm going to approximate. Now, whenever you're animating, someone might ask, okay, when should this fall? You could actually use a real ball to actually make as your reference. Animators do that a lot. They shoot real videos and use those real videos to know the timing for a particular thing. How long does it take when you throw a ball, to hit the ground, to jump up again, come down, and all those stuff. So if I come in here, let's say, for example, I'm going to just make this a bit random. I'm going to be using 10 frames. So I say at this time frame, I want this guy to be somewhere here. Now, if you go up, you see that. So look at the twinning now. This particular software will now do the completion. You see, when I was in the last one, I will have to draw each of the frames. But here, once I go back, automatically is doing the job for me. Those are the things, that's the benefit of this particular technique. All right, the other technique, the benefit is that you can draw almost any kind of thing you want. You can do almost any. It's much more very, very free. So it's just like if you watch cartoons like Tom and Jerry, you see that they could do a lot of things. But if you do the same thing here, sometimes it could be a bit limited because you have the same character, you're just trying to move it across. You have to design in such a fashion that is almost the same. You could change, but you still have to draw some other things, to switch. There's what we call, when I was talking about this, you can be able to switch different things that is being seen. So you can have different head layers or mouth layers in this place, and you can change them at will. Those are the ways you can be. Let's say, for example, you want to do like a turnaround of a body. This is the trick to it. So, but that one is a different thing altogether. So if I come in here, I can just go in, and you see here I have this. Now let me go to 20, and let's say we come up to here. Now in the law of physics, you know that when something bounces up, it can never go back to here, and if it touches the ground, it can never go back to that same level it was when it actually bounced up before. I don't know if I'm getting the law in physics very well. So you have to also understand body physics, because you are trying to emulate nature. So you have to get ideas. So when we start talking about some ideas on animation, I will talk about that. So I'll go to 30, and I want this to come down. Now, even if this doesn't look good to you, don't worry about that. The most important thing is just get your keyframes. These are what we call the main frames or the keyframes. Okay, so we'll get the main frames. I'm going to come in here, and I will come up to somewhere here, not too big, and then 50. Now this is not a good timing, yes I know, but don't worry about that, we'll fix that later. So, and then I'll go for 60, just a bit up like that, and 70, and then just push it out. But let me just take it out completely. So now let's play this animation and see what happens. In fact, I'm going to loop it. So if you look at what happened, this part looks as if something just is not natural. If you look at it, 1, 2, 3. So now you can now go and start amending things. So let's say, for example, I come in here. Now you remember that we said, let me click here. So if you click here, you can actually see the animation, how it actually comes in. If you actually see what's happening, so you can actually come in here and say, okay, this is what you want to be able to go for. Let me get my thing here. Let me get this guy, drag it back. So I'll say from here, okay, I have this guy jumping down here and up here. Okay, this work is not saved. Let's save it now. Let's call it animation 2 save. Oh, don't I have animation 2 already? Okay, animation 2. All right, so if I come in here, I have this. So let's go up. When it hits up here, so we can now say, okay, why is it not the way it's supposed to be? So let's say, for example, we'll push it to let's drag this back a bit like this. We need to see the line of action. If you look at what is happening here, I can be able to see how it went forward and back. Let me even draw for this one. So I'm seeing this from here to here now. Okay. So I could say, okay, let me bring this up to somewhere here. So it's going to be going V shape, and then it's coming down this V shape here. So let's go for the next one. There. Let's even increase the onion skin for this guy so that we can be able to see the next part of it. Okay, so we'll have something like this. And I think I need to push this to make it a better V shape, and go over here, and let's bring this up to somewhere here. So if you look at this, the shape, because there's in physics we have projectiles, so there is always a way that objects actually animate. In fact, when you look at an object moving in a way that is not natural, you actually know, because your eye is already used to it. So I can just be able to make it in a V shape like that. So we'll have something like this. Okay, so let's go to the next part. To this, and then we'll go over to here. Okay, so we'll have this one. I think we need to make it a bit more like that, and you see it's going backwards. So those are the kind of things that could actually cause animation to act in a very bizarre way. So I have this here, so we need it to actually go off the screen from here. So I think we can do it this way. And then for this last one here, we don't really need it, so we can just keep it outside there, just leave it there. So you can even clean it off if you want to. If you want to clean it off, you can just come in here and start dragging it back. Okay, you can use this to drag it back and say, okay, I don't want this any longer, and then your keyframe, you can just come in here and remove it. So right now, if you go back here, you actually see this square animation stops. So let's play this animation and see. So So this is a bit better now. In fact, I even think we can actually do a lot to actually fine-tune this animation. So, but I'm going to leave the fine-tuning for you guys to be able to, work on it on your own. I think I even need to bring this one a bit down like this. Something like this. And I don't want it to go up. Here, it should go down like this. So if you play again, just stuff like that. So that's basically how you can be able to animate things using the two techniques. So now, let's say for example, we want to use this particular knowledge we have. We have both the knowledge of how to animate using the frame by frame drawing and also the twinning. So you can actually use this together. You can actually use both of them together if you want to, if you have a reason to. So, but it all depends on what you're actually trying to achieve. So, but now we're going to do a bit something different. So we're going to design a very simple stuff and we're going to animate it. So let's say for example, we have a very simple car. Let me create a new one here. I'm going to call this car animation. So this one is going to be car animation. Let's call it car animation. All right, so now what I'm going to do now is I want this car to be a very simple car. So let's say for example, I'm going to start here. I'm going to do vector and I'm going to apply this vector. So remember how we work. I'm going to first, I want to put up a background at the back here. So the first background I'm going to use a light blue background. Use a rectangle this time around and autofill it and just do something here. So I think we need to make it a bit lighter. And then I'll create a new one and this one will be a darker blue. So let's draw a second one just somewhere here. We can actually turn to this so we can actually see what we're seeing. So now I want to draw a very simple car. It's not going to be a complex car because we won't just focus on animation. So I'm going to, I can call this my car and also name it here car. So right now, if you look at what's happening here, these things I drew, my timeline was over here. So you see what it did. It came and drew here. So I could actually select it, click on it, drag it back. Click on this one, hold it, drag it back. Let me do it again. Click, wait, let me do it again. Click, hold, drag back. Drag it back like that. Selecting this is a bit difficult in this particular one. Let me zoom this up and so you can actually select it from the edge. Yeah, see, from the edge, drag it. That's the best way to move it. So right now all of them are in this place. So now I want to draw a very simple car. It's not going to be a complex car, so I'm going to use this my rectangle and draw a very simple car. So first I'm going to do I think I want to use I'm going to use a brush this time around. I think that will make it a bit faster for me. So I have this thing here. Let me say for example I'm going to use red color, a bright red color, and I'm going to make sure that just reduce this a bit. So let's draw and see. Okay, we'll have something like this. So I'm going to just draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all I'm doing, I'm just moving it and it's following me. So now you can use this tool here to select this, and you can be able to bring this and cover this up. So if you have all these options here, you can align this so that they align properly. Remember, when we talk about the tools, there are different tools you can be able to use to straighten distance. So, but because they're not too much, you can actually manually straighten them if you want to. So if you look at what is happening here, it's not straight, but we're not looking for perfection in this particular video. We're looking for just a very simple cut that we can be able to use. So now we have this, and we can use our fill tool to actually paint it. So you have something like this. So you can be able to align it properly, and that would take a bit of time. Let's bring this up a bit here, and then let's go for the tires. The tires are going to be very important. Now look at what I'm doing here. I'm doing everything in this place. I'm not minding too much about the size. I can scale it down just a tiny bit, and let's bring this up to the center. Scroll in. Let's make it a bit smaller. Now this screen is very huge, so don't worry about what it looks like. It might look very tiny to you, but it's actually a full HD screen, so you have to mind what you're drawing when you're doing it. So if I come in here, I can be able to draw something. Let's say, for example, I have my circle. I can be able to draw something. Let me get this here. Now if you want to draw a tire that you're going to be able to animate later, all right, you need to make sure you do it on a new level. So if I click here, I can be able to create a new level here, and that's my tire here, and I can be able to just select this, get my circle, and I'm going to draw. Just drop this here. Let's scale it down a bit more. Then I think I'll want a white color that I'm going to use to place in the center, just to give it some kind of uniqueness. So I'm going to just do something like that. So we'll have something like this. Hold shift and select both of them. You can bring it to the center. Now one of the things I like putting is just something that will show that this is rotating. So, and that is you could actually put some very tiny circles around, so that when it starts moving you actually know. Or you can put a straight rectangle. So but I think I like using the small circles. This will not be working until I make this 0. Just something like that. Let me make sure that it's not too big. Just something like that. So I'm going to do Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Use my arrow key to push it, and then do Ctrl V. Push it to this side, and then Ctrl V. Push it to this side. So I have something very simple like that. So you can select all of them now. Let's do it this way. Select 1, just come close, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's be sure that we select everything. You can try moving it. Okay, we did select one in the center. Try moving it. Okay, everybody's together. You can right click and actually group them. So once you group them, they begin to act as one. So if you select them tomorrow, you see that it's together. It's always together all the time. Now you can be able to let's see how we can be able to move this to another place. So I will try two things. I'm going to try copying this and creating a new level. and I'm going to paste this and see. Okay, I have a new one there. So one is in the back and one is in the front. So I have this. What I did was just to create a new level and copy and paste it. So unfortunately, we'll have one of our tires disappearing. So one of these things that we have. Let's click on the layer, select it, double click, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and just carry this. Let's do it again. Okay, so we'll have this here. So I'm going to come back to this place, and let me see which of this is having issues. Okay, this one. Let's bring it back to okay. All right. Oh, still there. So these are some kind of issues you might be having sometimes when you actually double select a particular thing. It will actually go into the next layer inside it. So those are the kind of issues you might have, and resolving this could take some time. So let me just see the best way we can be able to resolve that. Let's drop this here, and okay, so I'm going to use this one now to cover it. So I'm still having some issues with this particular tire here. I'm going to have to draw it manually, because after drawing it, somehow it does not really appear inside the place. So I'm going to select the white here and select this, draw this white circle here. Let me select this and just bring it down. And I will select this and this one and group them back again to become one, and do the same thing here. Then this one should be it. So select this one, make sure you're selecting white, and draw this here. Select this here and select this one, and then you can right click and group. So the next thing we want to do is to put our anchor points. Now forget about the other parts of the car, we just need to do the main thing that we need to do, which is we're going to animate. So let's animate this. I'm going to go to my position. So but first I will start with the center. So I'll select this. Remember, we're not using this. This is a bit faulty. We'll have to actually resolve the transparency, and we entered into layers that were difficult to come out from. So I'm going to click on this car here, and I'm going to bring this to the center here, somewhere here. And then I'm going to go to my column. This one is for this tire. So I'm going to just select this and post this in the center here. And then for this one, select this, carry this and put it in the center here. So right now, if you actually go to each of them, they are all in the center. They have their centers in the right place. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to go to this animate here, and you're going to parent it. So we're going to parent this. So we have let me quickly name this. So I have my tire 1, and let's click here. This is the one we're not using. Let me see which one are we not using. We'll have tire 2, and 3. So we're going to just parent them all at once. So if you look at here, we'll have the car. This is our car. We're going to bring these guys here, and we can be able to select this and push this into here, push this here, push this here. Now this means that whenever this one moves, the body of the car, all these tires will actually move with it. So this one is the background. So right now we can actually go in, and if you move this, in Animate, to select your position for the Animate, and let's go back to our drawing now. Now I'm here. If you move this, we actually see that what is happening. Okay, I think I'm selecting the wrong thing. You have to select the car first. That's the first thing you do. Click on the car, and if you move back, you see that everything moves together with it. So I'm going to just drop this let's say somewhere here, and let's say I'll also scale it down a bit more and select it with this position, so I have something like this. So now I want this animation to last for let's change this to our frames so that we'll know how many frames. So right now we are running at 25 frames per second. So let's say, for example, we want to run this animation for let's say 6 seconds. So 6 seconds will actually be 25 times 6. So that will be about 150. So I can just click here, drag down like this. Once I drag down, I can click here and drag it. It will select all of it and begin to increase the frame. So what it's doing now, it is drawing the same object for all these frames. So I think I have 25 into 4 is 100, and into 5 will be 150. So I have about 150 frames here. So I can now say, okay, I want to go back to this place. So I'll now say, when I'm here, this will be there, but then at the ending part, so at 150, I want this animation to go from here, from the car. Remember, you have to select the car, because that's what you're animating, and then you can be able to move this. Let's middle mouse and just make it pass through this place. So if you now go back and play your animation, you actually see that if you look at what is happening, let me see. Now if you play, see, it's not working because our current frame has not been expanded, so we have to expand it. So in case you're having that issue, always remember, sometimes it doesn't expand automatically. You need to expand it manually yourself. So you just bring it to this place and play. But then our tires are not showing themselves, like they're not actually rotating. So we need to make the tires also rotate. So that will be a bit difficult, but we're going to try our best to do that. So if I come in here, I have this tire here, this one. So I can actually go up to my rotation and say, okay, just rotate this a bit like this to somewhere here. So this will tell it that you want it to rotate it. So also rotate this one so that it will know that you want to rotate it too. So I'm going to select both of them, but you can't, let me see if you can rotate both of them at once. So now I'll go to, let's say, for example, now what you need to be looking at is the property here. So right now it is this value. In fact, let me take it down to a 0 value so that we actually see how far it's going to go. So I have 0 value here, and here I'm going to also put a 0 value. So it means it's in 0. That's the value here now. So I want to say the degrees 0 degrees right now. So I will say by this time, the question is how many times do I want to rotate? Now I don't even have an idea of what it's going to look like. So but I will start with this. I will say by this time I want you to rotate for, let's say 1,000. Let me start from there. And also this one I'm going to do 1,000. And let's see if that would do something nice for us. And if it's even going to be going forward, that's another thing too. And it's actually going backwards. So probably is a very asymmetrical or something. So you could actually do something like that. But if you want it to be going forward, that means you have to do the opposite. I think I like the way it's actually moving. So I can just come in here and let's select this one and animate to, and I'm going to do minus 1000 minus 1000, and then here also I'm going to do minus 1000. So once I do that, I can just come back to this place and let's play the animation. Let's look for our playhead and just bring it back to this place. And you can loop it from here. If you loop it, you'll be seeing exactly what you're doing. So if you come in here, if you want to increase it, you can actually go for, let's say, 2000. If you want it to actually be faster, you can just go to that frame 150 and increase the speed. So if you just come in there, you can select that tire that you want to change and just go over here and change it to 2000. So it's going to double the speed. So once you are selecting this and this rotation, this option will come out and you can be able to have that ability. So let's do this here. You can do. So you see that the animation is now a bit faster. So, and that is how you can be able to just simply create a very simple animation inside OpenToonz. So in our next lesson, we're going to be learning how to animate the background so that when you're moving, the background will be moving against you. You know, you can be able to be moving forward and the background is being animated. You can do some other things in the background so that you can be able to create a continuous motion while you're actually in one spot. So that's all we have for today.